Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a special bonus episode of Scratches, the Director's Cut. During the course of the main game, I mentioned a few times that in the Director's Cut, there was a special extra chapter added to the story that kind of served as the game's epilogue. Now, the epilogue does take place several years after the events of the original story. In fact, the opening dialogue does a perfect job of setting up the chapter that we're about to do. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go and start it. We have to select a new game and choose The Last Visit. The Last Visit.
You must head right away to the Blackwood estate and get me something.
But sir, that story is long forgotten now. No one cares anymore about...
They will as soon as the estate is demolished. 2 weeks from now, that place is going to be smashed to bits. It's such an event will revive all the rumors and madness.
Michael Arthayet supposedly solved the Blackwood enigma, but for some reason never shared his solution. Perhaps I could persuade him...
You can forget about that. Mr. Arthayet rarely speaks to the press, and less so about this story. Not even the most experienced and reputed reporters in the field have convinced him to talk.
I'm glad to hear you think so highly of me, sir. Perhaps he decided that preserving the mystery would be in the best interests of everyone.
No, I think he's a very unstable fella, and his solution was probably as far-fetched as what town people were rumoring back in the 60s. You know, a family curse or aliens from outer space possessing Blackwood.
Yes, thrilling. What about Jerry Carter?
Jerry Carter was convicted to 8 years in prison with a serious charge of fraud, but only spent 4 inside, and is now doing community services under probational liberty. He's never crossed a single word with Michael since his stay at Blackwood Manor, and probably doesn't know a thing about the mystery.
I can't say I'm excited about this, but I don't have much of a choice, I guess.
No, what you have is a potentially great article on your hands. Do your best, as this is probably our last chance to shed some light about what happened inside that house.
Fine. I'll drive there tomorrow.
And just like in the main game's story, we start our extra chapter by driving up to the Blackwood estate.
I've parked my car inside the estate, and I'm about to start investigating.
Alright, well I've got control now, and for the most part things look pretty familiar. We have only one item in our inventory right now.
This is my trusty recorder. I'm using it to make a testament of my visit to Blackwood Manor.
And our new reporter friend here is much more talkative than Michael is, so we're going to get a lot of voiceover from him. Now, I'm not exactly sure how long after the events of the first game this takes place. They do mention that Jerry, for, I guess, real estate fraud or something, was sentenced to 8 years of prison time, but only served 4. So does that mean it's been 4 years since the events of the first game? Well, I don't think so, and when we get into the house, you might get an idea why. I think it's been much longer than that. Now, let's go over here and check the garage out first.
There's a huge amount of junk inside this garage. I won't even attempt going in.
But we can take this can.
This can might prove useful.
Do you have anything to say about the can?
This can might prove useful.
Oh, that's not much. Alright, so here's the front of the estate. And look over here, some people have dropped some goodies.
It looks like someone left in a rush and dropped all their, souvenirs. Whoever left all this stuff in here must have been leaving the house in quite a hurry.
Well, we can think of a reason or two why they might have wanted to leave quickly.
Ugh! There's something moving down that hole. There's a faint light coming from it, but I can't see what's inside.
Well, more about that a little later. We could go inside, but what about over this way, towards the chapel and the greenhouse?
I can't go this way. I can't go this way.
Now, it might be hard to make out. This is a big pool of water.
It's a huge pool of water, blocking the way.
Now, personally, I like to believe that because we left the hose on in the main game, that the water just kept running and running and running until eventually, I guess the water company stopped sending water out this way, and all that extra water flooded the pond over by the tree, which led to this huge pool of water here. But we're going to grab some of that water. Do you have anything to say about it now?
This can might prove useful.
Thanks.
The whole place is exhibiting signs of vandalism and trashing.
Yeah, look, graffiti on the wall. Murderer. Probably talking about James Blackwood. But, well, maybe James wasn't quite the murderer we thought he was. So let's go in here and look at some of this stuff.
These paintings must have been quite pricey. They're worthless now.
Yeah, even the piano. Murderer.
The graffiti is barely readable. Not that I would want to read it. I doubt it would provide many clues.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to read. But, like, I think this one says go to hell. Something that ends with a CW? Maybe go to hell witch? I'm not quite sure what that is. Die, maybe? Would make sense with that face. Not sure what over there. What's that? Nucleus rules. Milton and Ness. That's a tough one. This is some... This is something. How can you not... Something this shit. Aha. Yeah, funny. But at least, you know, the programmers were having a good time. Now, we know what's down there. We're not going to go down there just yet.
I guess the doorknobs must have been very valuable.
I guess what, the foyer over here? And the poor grandfather clock. You know, the grandfather clock was such an important thing in the main game. Kind of surprised they don't even mention anything about it now.
This phone seems to have gone through some rough moments.
Yeah, it did. So did we.
In its current state, this is an extremely uninviting dining room.
What about the study?
The door is stuck beyond hope.
Nope, we're not getting through there. Now, this chapter is much, much shorter than any of the other ones that we did. I think the shortest chapter we did was just about under an hour. This is going to be much shorter than that. There's, unfortunately, a lot less to explore and a lot less to see.
The doorknobs here were likely of a high value. No wonder. This place must have been glittering in its heyday. I think I'll take my chances with the other stairway. This one looks quite dangerous.
Yeah, we can't even use the back stairwell. Okay, what do you say we go upstairs next? check out the room that Michael stayed in.
This is the room where Michael Arthayet slept those 3 fateful days. Not much to see here, though.
Oh, we don't know that. Let's look around a little bit. What's left of Michael's briefcase?
That's odd. Arthayet left most of his stuff in here. In turn, it seems, later visitors have barely left anything.
Well, Michael wanted to get out. He wanted to get out badly. The other visitors were here for different reasons. Even all the stuff in the doctor's bag has been taken. His diploma thrown across the room. Well, we could check out the exhibit room. That's an important room.
Aha, the plot thickens. This is the gallery where James Blackwood carried on his eccentric hobby. Or what's left of it.
Yeah, look at this. Just about everything was taken.
Not much to see here. Not much to see here. What a shame they took everything. I would have loved to have seen what kind of stuff Blackwood kept here.
Well, mostly a bunch of weird vases. A couple of
How
masks.
interesting.
Some paintings.
This seemed to be a secret storeroom. Whatever was here must have been of high importance. Unless they wanted to keep it secured for other reasons.
Yeah, remember there was something very important in here? Yeah, the mask is gone. And that is not a good sign.
Just useless junk. Just useless junk.
Now, what about the bedroom?
This room was probably a cozy place before. Not anymore.
Look, they even took the mattress. There's a safe. There was some money in the safe, but I don't think it was anything really valuable. The mirror is all smashed.
A bottle of thalidomide. I remember reading something about that drug.
Alright, so that's thalidomide? I don't know much about that drug at all. So I can't tell you anything for sure one way or the other. What I can tell you is what I'm looking at in the walkthrough that I'm looking at right now, and what I've heard other LPers say about that. This was some sort of medicine that was given to women that were pregnant, and I guess it was supposed to help with pregnancy pains and morning sickness and that sort of thing. But it fell out of use when it started leading to birth defects. Now, I don't know what those birth defects were, but supposedly a LPer that I like to watch called The Gamer Pixie did some research into it, and what it did was it was leading to things like fused fingers and fused toenails, so kind of getting like almost like a flipper effect on these poor kids. Which actually kind of makes me think of Danny DeVito's character, the Penguin, in the Batman Returns movie. So if that was the case, that doesn't quite explain what happened to the person we saw in the basement. Now, I don't know for sure if any of that's true, and I don't know what kind of research the writers did into checking out that drug. So it's very possible that they just threw it in there as sort of an extra puzzle piece, so to say. Something more to kind of cast doubt on what could or could not have happened here.
I won't be able to go upstairs. It looks too dark. And, dangerous.
Alright, understandable.
I think I'll take my chances with the other stairway. This one looks quite dangerous. There must have been several paintings adorning this hallway in the past. Only this one remains now, though. Most likely too scary for the burglars to take.
Yeah, kind of unsettling that the picture of Kronos eating his kid is still... looks like the only painting still up here. Even the creepy one with the kids is gone.
The window seems to have been covered with mud. I
Weird.
can't see a thing in this bathroom, and I forgot to bring my flashlight.
Well, good work. Alright, so we got a muddy
window.
window.
Covered with mud. I can't see a thing in this bathroom.
And it's too dark in here to
and I
really
forgot to bring my
explore.
flashlight.
Well, only one place left to go. And I'll tell you, the first time I played the last chapter, or the last visit, this was pretty much the first place I checked. Let me tell you, I was not expecting to find down here what I did. Well, for one, the door has been tore off its hinges. You want to look at those bricks?
Just useless junk.
And there's that huge hole in the wall.
Ah! Oh, there's an intense smell of urine in this room. It seems like cats have claimed it as their home.
Alright, so there are cats living here.
What a charming little teddy bear. Its head is almost ripped off.
No. Chewed off. Ooh, a little goodie.
Ah, there's some object inside that hole. Ah, there's also a nasty cat in there as well.
Sure. A cat.
Ah! It almost ripped my hand off.
Actually, yeah, that kind of looked like a cat's
vicious
paw.
little bugger.
Well, we'll be back to deal with you. So I was not expecting there to be a cat down there. I was not expecting there to be anything down there. Although I was kind of expecting we would have to do something with this hole.
Something is moving down there.
Well, cats are known for not liking water. And I would expect most things would not like having a bottle of water poured on their head. So that probably chased away the cat. But while we're at it, let's get some more water.
That doesn't work.
Sure it does. There
And the
we go.
prize is A doorknob.
Well, I guess the cat liked the shiny doorknob and just decided to hang on to it. Now, there were two places with doorknobs missing that we could potentially gone through.
This doorknob is probably of more value than my entire outfit. That doesn't work.
Nope, not there. The doorknob put back a, I don't know, some sort of crossbeam or something.
I wonder if this kitchen was ever tidy.
Well, it was tidier. I don't think we can go outside
It's
either.
impossible to go this way. The door is rusted shut. My goodness, they didn't even spare the forks.
No, they took everything.
This door is severely damaged. There doesn't seem to be anything of interest beyond it, so I won't bother.
But what about down in the basement?
The atmosphere is almost unbearable down here in the basement. The walls are dripping with moisture.
There we go. That
Some cleaning fluid.
cleaning fluid, and I think if we mix
That
these
doesn't
two,
work.
no,
I don't see the point in doing that.
I can think of. I see a point in doing it. We want to be able to make some sudsy water.
It's a huge furnace, which still doesn't seem quite large enough to heat the whole house.
Now we have
It's an ordinary piece of rag.
a rag. Now we're getting somewhere.
It's an ordinary piece of rag.
Yes, but now it's a piece of rag
It's
that's
a
all
huge
sudsied up.
furnace, which still doesn't seem quite large enough to heat the whole house.
We're going to use our sudsy rag to go do some cleaning.
The window seems to have been covered with mud.
Yeah, you know, the more you think about it, that had to have been a conscious decision. Yeah, to get mud up here to cover up these windows to keep the light from getting in. But now we can start exploring. And
I can't tell exactly why, but I don't like this mask one bit.
yeah, there it is.
I can't tell exactly why, but I don't like this mask one bit.
Here in the tub, shrouded in darkness. Well, sadly, that's about all we can do right now. There's that ominous music again. of that music start playing. Usually it had something to do with the mask. The curtain's drawn again.
No.
I don't mean to I don't mean to take any seriousness out of this scene, but I think they did enough of that just with that character model. I mean, the creature we saw in the basement was unsettling and disturbing and frightening. This is goofy.
Who are you? What are you doing here? Can't you see this place is dangerous? Robin, please forgive me. I had to see you before I returned to my dying bed.
And he leaves, which is the right thing to do. So after he fell from the balcony, and the creature leapt from it to get him.
As I hurriedly left Blackwood Manor, I tried putting together what I just experienced, to no avail. I was in shock and couldn't think clearly, and it took many days until I was ready to pass judgment on what I'd seen. The Blackwood estate has now been demolished, and I have arrived at a conclusion. It is clear that the Blackwood family, with the help of this Dr. Milton, kept their son hidden from the public as he was suffering from severe malformations. It is unclear whether he was truly dangerous, or the Blackwoods were simply psychotic. Quite possibly one thing led to another, and this situation ended with the death of Catherine Blackwood. We can finally give some closure to this sad episode in the peaceful town of Rothbury. And yet, there's something I can't quite explain. A missing link, something that just doesn't fit. We may never know what the real heart of the mystery is. But for the time being, this will have to do.
You saw lying there in the rubble was the mask. So we're just going to let the credits go, and I'm just going to kind of ramble a little bit. So yeah, that was Robin, the creature we saw at the end of the main game, and the creature we saw at the end of this chapter. Although, in this chapter he looks goofy, for lack of a better word. And I think that alone really does not make this chapter worth it. It takes so much of the horror and the mystery out of Robin by making him this kind of, this really just goofy looking thing instead of this sad and frightening looking thing that he was in the basement. But as you saw, when he leapt from the balcony to get us, somebody opened the door and told us to get out, and then cried out to Robin, "I had to see you before I died." Now, I'm under the impression that that's Dr. Milton. Some people think it might have been James Blackwood, and that the body in Blackwood's coffin was actually the doctor's. I think there's a reasonable argument to be made for that, but I think it's probably more likely that it was Dr. Milton who, on his deathbed, decided to come back to the manor and see Robin for one last time. After all, I think something for almost like 10 years, or I think it was 8 years, was taking care of Robin, essentially, feeding him while he was down in that basement. But that was the extra chapter, The Last Visit. And it kind of wraps up things pretty clearly. They flat out tell you that creature is Robin. They don't tell you who the old man that came through the door was, though. And just from that reporter, they kind of pieced it together for the most part. The son was deformed, something happened that led to the death of Catherine, But we know there was more to it, and it was that mask. Now, we don't know for sure whether that mask was possessed by evil spirits, or whether it was just James Blackwood sort of losing his mind a bit. Now, personally, I like to believe that there was something supernatural going on with that mask. The game took plenty of time to build that up for us. And I personally think it's more interesting when it is something like that. Something where we just kind of pull back the veil of reality a little bit and find out there's more going on than we realize. But a lot of that is my own personal opinion. I find that to be a lot more interesting than it was all in the character's head, or it was all a dream. I think that is tremendously lazy. Not to say that good stories haven't been written with that. But I'll let you guys decide as we all try to figure out exactly what the authors here, the creators of this story, were trying to tell, as opposed to any of us trying to turn the story into what we want it to be. So thank you all for watching, and I think that's going to be it for this bonus episode. Although I will bring up one last thing, because this was kind of aggravating me trying to do it during the main game. I may have mentioned that there was an alternate ending to the main story, and I've seen it. I've seen other Let's Players show it off, and I tried to get it so that we could watch it all together. But I've come to the understanding that I have the wrong version of the game. I need a version of the game that was specially patched, that has the extra ending. My attempts to learn more about this, or even patch the game myself, have been pretty fruitless. It's a fairly old game at this point, by video game standards, and it wasn't a tremendously successful or popular one, so finding good information has not been easy. And my attempts to patch the game usually end up with the game crashing and being unplayable. So if I ever do get it working, I'll do another bonus episode where we take a look at the alternate ending. But for the time being, that's going to do it for Scratches. Thank you all so very much for watching. Take care of yourselves.